first speaker is Mr. Bill Hennessy. On February 20th, 2009, Bill's activism became a permanent fixture in his life. He and a St. Louis radio host, Dana Lash, announced their Tea Party on the steps of the Gateway Arch in St. Louis, hoping for 100 people. Bill and Dana saw over 1,000 people flood the sloping stairs to hear short speeches, sing God Bless America, and dump tea leaves into the Mississippi River. The St. Louis Tea Party was born. In his day job, Bill is a persuasive design strategist, and it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Bill Hennessy. Welcome him to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope that everybody can hear me. I'm usually not asked to speak up. The people that work around me ask me to keep it down, use my inside voice. So, I've got to warn you, or let you know, I had no idea what David or Paul or Bishop Smith was going to say before I chose what I was going to talk about. But sometimes it seems like someone else knows and puts things in the right order. So if I screw this up, it's on me, it's not him. I'm telling you right now. I had chills at the synchronicity between the themes that we've already heard today, and I hope I can continue that as we move forward. And I hope that I can give you something that when you leave today helps you carry liberty to everyone who's missing it in America. And there's a lot of people missing liberty in America today. So I have to begin by thanking Joanne and David for their work and for inviting me down here. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, David. Thank all of you for coming out today, for spending a beautiful October Saturday. We're getting close to the end of the time that you get to go out and do nice things outside with your families. There's football games on, and you're here. So why are you here? Go ahead and shout it out. Why are you here?
Liberty.
Liberty. Liberty. Man.
Ted Cruz.
Tired of being angry.
Make a difference and do something.
Make a difference. Do something. Restore liberty. That's why we're here. We're burdened. We're blessed, but we're burdened. If you're in this room today, you're here because you're both burdened and blessed with the knowledge of liberty, with the knowledge of truth or a sense of truth, an idea that you're going in the right direction. And probably, if you're like me, a little bewilderment in why others aren't with us. This is a fantastic, humbling crowd. But you think about it, this is liberty. Why aren't we filling up football stadiums to advance freedom and liberty and prosperity for everyone? Because we like stuff. So you have to ask yourself about the people who are not here. And I think of this every time we hold an event in St. Louis, every time I watch an important news program and realize that on C-SPAN, and realize that I'm one of 1/1000th of 1% of the population watching that show at 2 o'clock in the morning. What do the others believe? Do you think that they don't believe in liberty?
They think they have it.
They think they have it. They think they have liberty. Do you think they don't believe in freedom? They don't want freedom. They don't know what it is. Do you think they don't love their country?
Some don't. Some do.
Some don't. I would grant you that. Some don't. But boy, there's a whole lot of people, I think, between where we are And where those who don't love this country, there's a whole lot. As a matter of fact, I bet you if you had a meeting like this anywhere in the country to talk about how much people hate America, you wouldn't have the turnout that we have here when you ask people to come talk about how we love America and we love our liberty. So there's a big sea of people in between us, in between those two groups, and they're not here today. And why not?
They don't understand what we're trying to say.
Exactly, they don't understand it. And I'm going to ask a challenging question here. Whose job is it to make sure that they do understand it? It is ours. It is absolutely ours. Many of you are Christians. When you run across someone who doesn't have the gift of faith, do we despise them? No. No. Do we turn our backs on them?
No.
No. The same with liberty. When we run across people who don't understand, who don't have the words, it's our job to keep finding the word, to keep trying new words until we find the words that work. And they are there because we believe that everyone benefits from liberty and freedom. Everyone benefits from a growing society. Everybody suffers under a government that's grown too large and too out of touch with its purpose. And as we heard earlier, we know what the purpose of government is. We know what our rights are. We know what our freedoms are. And we know that men institute governments to secure those rights and freedoms, not to invent new ones, not to remanufacture humanity in some college professor's idea of the way we should have come out.
Yeah.
We believe this and we know this, and that's a burden. It's not just a blessing. It's a burden. Because it's our job to go out and find the words that bring the truth to the people who haven't heard it. It's our job to become liberty evangelists who bring freedom to everyone. And I'll tell you what, I will be honest here, I haven't done such a good job of this myself. Because we often talk about, we want to protect business, we want to protect its interests, and let's face it, talking about protecting the Constitution and freedom and liberty, those are abstract ideas. They really are. You really can't measure them. There's no number. I mean, organizations try. Heritage Foundation does a fantastic job of measuring the relative freedom of different countries. And if you didn't know this, the United States has fallen 14 now, I believe. I think we're the 14th freest country. The country that invented freedom is 14th on the list. Canada is freer than the United States, and Canada doesn't mind calling itself socialist. Because it's not just about the form of government. There's a lot that goes into freedom. But when we talk about abstract ideas, and we talk about them very well, and it's very important that we keep focused on those ideas and those goals. And it is very important to defend the wealth that someone has earned. I think we owe it to ourselves and to our country, but most of all, to our Lord and to our brothers and sisters to remember our principles, conservative principles, can lift people out of poverty better than anything that's ever been tried in the history of the world. You probably remember a few years ago, the singer from U2, Bono, made some headlines at a UN conference talking about what the world needs to cure poverty. And what did he say? Capitalism, free markets. We need people who create jobs and opportunity because that's the only thing that creates the wealth that we can siphon off and give to charity. Only a very prosperous country has the resources to invest in healthcare, in education. The word school comes from the same Greek word for leisure. If you don't have excess capital, you don't have time to go to school. If you don't have the ability to store things up, you have to scrounge for your food every day. And there are people in the United States who believe that they have to scrounge for their food every day. Since the war on poverty was declared by Lyndon Johnson in 1964, the United States has spent $22 trillion fighting poverty, and poverty won. $22 trillion. In 1967, the poverty rate in the United States was 14%. Guess what it was in 2014? 14%. It didn't move an inch. Now, mathematically speaking, if you count poverty as the lowest quintile, there's always going to be one, right? And there are some good things that have happened to people in that lowest quintile over those years. So the people at the very bottom now have iPhones. They have unlimited television. They can watch 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have probably less opportunity to find a job if they should decide to get one, because we've kind of cordoned off most of our poor people into little pockets here and there. As Arthur C. Brooks, the president of the American Enterprise Institute, puts it, the left in America treats the poor as problems to be efficiently managed, as burdens to be hidden and quieted and quelled. Is that what we believe? Do we believe that the poor are people that we should hide, bury in terrible places like Ferguson, Missouri, which isn't a terrible place, but it's gotten there? It's what happens when we isolate people. It's what happens when we don't bring the truth of liberty to everyone who deserves it, and especially the people who need it most. The war on poverty has become a war on the poor. And how does this happen? What's happened? What are the correlates? In my day job, we do a lot of research into human behavior and economics and behavioral economics. So I like to look at what the science has to say. What is coming out of academia? What are they? Well, let's go to Harvard, right? There's a right-wing conspiratorial institution of higher thought in Boston, right? Harvard University. An economist there named Raj Chetty did a study over a couple of years. The title of it is "Where is the American Dream?" And what he wanted to do is find out where in America, if anywhere, you can be born poor and make it just to the middle class. He wasn't talking about, we all always hear the story about somebody who was dirt poor and ends up owning half of a county. That's great, good for him, but that doesn't really mean much to most people, because most people don't have that high of aspiration. Most poor people just want to be a little bit more than poor. And so Raj Chetty took a look, and he got together with some colleagues. He needed to balance out, as liberal as Harvard is, he had to balance out who was on this ticket. So he went to the other coast and found some friends at University of California, Berkeley, which is also known for its strong Republican leanings. And they started to take a look, and they got data now since you've got Harvard over here and Berkeley over here, they're going to have to go conservative somewhere, right? So guess which bastion of conservative thought they went to find the statistics to pour through for their analysis? No, they went to the Chicago's favorite son. They went to the United States government and got the statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, from the IRS, and from other publicly available government data. Here's what they found. There are 5 factors that correlate to intergenerational poverty. If you want to take a family and make sure that generation after generation after generation remains dirt poor, mired in crime, with a ridiculous level of drug abuse, this is how you do it. Number one is so far out front of the other 4, you can almost dismiss the other 4. But number 1 is destroy the family. The number 1 single predictor of intergenerational poverty that goes on, that passes on like a bad gene, is a single female head of household with no father involved. And yet the policies of the left, by making work a punishment, by making work sound like a crime, by providing for a family only if the father leaves in many cases, or at least that is the perception. The left has evicted the father from the family. We have to put the fathers back in the homes. Number 2 is segregation by race and income. And I know that isn't always a popular topic at conservative gatherings, but folks, we have to have role models and examples, and they have to be close by. They can't be on TV. That is not a role model. The role models you live next door to. If you want a poor family to see a difference between its decisions and how they and the results, and another family's decisions and better results, you're going to have them live in proximity to the families that are doing it right. It doesn't work any other way. We have isolated the poor. I just read a study last night that the African Americans lost more money in the housing bubble burst than whites did. As a matter of fact, the numbers are dramatic. Whites' home values have increased 35% since the trough. Blacks have decreased 24%. One of the biggest reasons is that African Americans tend to move into neighborhoods that are already in trouble. Part of that is because real estate agents and often banks help push it that way. But we've isolated people who need our help and need examples and need the blessings of liberty and prosperity to drive them out. The other 3, guess what? Churches. As we've driven religion out of the public square, we've also driven our sense of sanity out of society. Earlier today, someone made what was not, I don't think, intended to be a joke about the tragedy of abortion, and we laughed because it was funny, and I thought immediately, how sad is it that you can laugh about something like that? Religion. And with the other major factor on what predicts poverty is actually what they like to call income inequality or wealth inequality. It's so low on that list of 5 factors that it's not statistically significant. But it's on there. What's really on there, though, if you ask me, is not income inequality. It's meaning inequality. Every human being deserves the dignity of meaningful work and the freedom to pursue happiness. Every human being. Not just the people who are fortunate enough to be able to have a good education, go to a good university, and walk into a good job. Every human being. Poor people are not burdens to be efficiently managed. They are assets. They are human beings. They are creatures put on earth by God to help us through this life. We're all just trying to get through this life the best we can. We, in this room, have the duty and the burden to bring our understanding of the truth of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, not just to the people who agree with us, but as you here said, to the very people who have never heard the message or haven't heard it in the words they need. I don't have all the words. You and I together, keeping up this fight, will find them. Thank you. God bless you.